Agus Diogwita Gina Ushla Sally Reynolds is manam dum. That's Irish. Anybody recognize it? Philip, I think, yes. Ah, hello. It wasn't very well pronounced, I don't think. Was it okay? All right. I must say I'm originally Irish, but living in Belgium now for about 20 years. And as a native English speaker, as the Irish speakers will know, my Irish is not great. I must admit, I feel my life has been enriched by the languages, the different cultures that we speak in Europe. I live in Belgium, and as you know, that's a kind of a tricky place when it comes to language. But we manage, and I think at this stage, when you look around Europe, what a value we have in terms of the richness of our languages. So it's very nice to be speaking on a day like today, and thank you for highlighting it, Jarko. Good morning. I'm going to talk to you about the Media and Learning Association this morning. And I'd like to really thank the association for inviting me, the Telecentre network for inviting me to come and speak. We've been talking about collaboration now for about a year, and I think we can start to do some really concrete things together. So it's very nice to be with you this morning, and very nice to be back in Zagreb. I must admit I came for the first time a year ago, and it's my fourth time to come to Croatia now. So I really love being in this country, and it's very nice to be back here. So thank you. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about about collaboration between the two organizations, but I need to give you a little bit of background to our association and where it comes from, and tell you a bit about the things that we do. We started insofar as that, when I say we, several different people, different parts of Europe who've been looking at, involved in media-supported learning for many years. We start to recognize the fact that for learning to be truly effective in 21st century, it has to involve some form of media. That what we see more and more throughout our learning experiences, not only learning with media, learning through media, and by media I mean everything from social media, traditional media, use of image, use of sound, and it's really nice to have people here recording in the room as well, and to see your close cooperation with students, because I think that's vital as well. So what we started with, in fact, was an award scheme. And people might say, well, why do you start an association with an award scheme? But the great thing about an award scheme is that every year you get an opportunity to see what people are doing, to recognize and identify in different parts of Europe good practice. And that's essentially what the Medea Awards is all about. We started it in 2007. It's about encouraging, as you can see, innovation and good practice in the use of media and education. And we try and recognize and promote excellence in the production and pedagogical design of media-rich learning resources. So we're interested in professional productions, we're interested in user-generated media, we're interested in identifying good practice where the product, the end result, is excellent, but also where the process is excellent. And if you take a look at our website, and I'll leave you some addresses, you can see we have about 70 different case studies now over the years that we've built up of different examples. Everything from a school in Greece where they're working with primary school students to create their own media resources and taking them through a process which involves both media literacy skills, media education, right the way through to excellent examples from broadcasters. We've had the BBC as a winner one year, for example, Deutsche Welle another year. So people who are really interested in the power and impact that good image and good sound, good pedagogical design of resources can bring to learning. So the awards has grown. We're into our 7th year this year. We get anywhere between 150, 200 entries, and over 300 last year. We have 70 showcases, I said, on our website, and we have a database with over 1,000 entries categorized at this stage. So this is available to our members to see who's doing what on the ground in terms of excellent media production. And that's, I think, one of the things where we start to see some links across to the Telecentre, because it means that we can identify people who know something about teaching animation to primary students. We know people who are good on sound in different parts of Europe through the awards, and that's why the awards has been really excellent. We also work with 150 judges actively supporting and contributing to this award scheme every year. So if you'd like to be a judge, let me know. I'm very glad to have people like Philip here, who's going to be speaking to you this morning, who's already involved very heavily in the competition. Our deadline is the 30th of September, which is next week, and I have flyers, so please take them, and if you'd like to enter, free entry. You can enter in 6 different languages. Speaking of languages today, sadly not Croatian, but you can enter in French, German, Spanish, Italian, Polish, or English. And entry is relatively straightforward. So we'd encourage also students from colleges as well, if you'd like to enter your products, what you've been producing out of your work. We're really keen to see those as well. We haven't had a Croatian finalist yet, I don't think, Jarko, have we? No, this should be the year, so you've got another couple of days to still enter. Then our little grouping started to extend. We introduced a newsletter which goes out every month. This is a standard PDF newsletter. It's going out to almost, at this stage, we're just under 4,000 in terms of entries, or of email addresses that it goes to. We did have a multilingual version, but we've gone back to using English for the moment. Again, if you're not receiving it and you'd like to be put on the mailing list, let me know. It gives you, I think, an update, of some of the projects that we're involved with and some of the initiatives taking place in Europe. Then we applied for funding to the European Commission under the Lifelong Learning Programme, and we were successful. We're now into our third European Commission supported project around this thematic of media supported learning. We've also, through these projects, we've added a resources database, community of practice, and we've also added a conference. So our first conference started in 2010. This will be our fifth this year. It's a collaboration between ourselves and the Flemish Ministry of Education in Brussels. So we organise this conference every November, December time with the Flemish Ministry. We usually have, it's a little bit like your conference, we bring together members, we bring together practitioners, finalists from our competition to celebrate, to recognise, to plan, to find ways of doing interesting things together. And the conference will be taking place this year on the 20th and 21st of November. So if you'd like to come, please let me know. We have also a large social media campaign which has been launched several years ago, workshops which are run by our partners in different parts of Europe through project work, but not just through projects, also off their own volition, where they very often will identify a trainer or expertise from another country to come and give training on a specific aspect of media-supported learning. And the third project, as I mentioned, is the MedeaNet project. We've also quite an extensive agenda of webinars, which we're running usually about once a month. If you check on our websites, you'll see the kinds of webinars that we're running. Last week we were talking about remembrance education, given the year that we are in this year in terms of the commemoration of the First World War. A lot of people are busy around supporting remembrance education through good and effective use of media. And that's where broadcasters, of course, come into play, because a lot of the resources that are available come, in fact, from broadcasters. So we'll have people, we've had somebody talking last week from the BBC, from FWU in Germany, talking about how they use the materials and resources to help to stimulate good remembrance education experiences. So our webinars are free. They last for an hour. You're very welcome to join. I think in most cases you have to just sign up. That's just a case so we can remind you. So information about them is available. Our next one is on teaching programming. You know there's a big move across in Europe. We're about to see Code Week to introduce programming to primary and to secondary schools, curricula. We would also take the point of view that introducing coding is, of course, very important, but it needs to be in a bigger context of media literacy in terms of what are you coding and why are you coding and how do you understand the tools that you use. But that's part, of course, of another discussion. Sustainability, then, of course, this is what faces us all who are involved in these European initiatives. We create wonderful projects, great outputs, and then 2 years later, they're all gone. Because, and I think everybody in the room recognises that phenomenon. If you start to get over the age of 30 anyway, you look back and think that was a great project we had, but where is it now? So that was what faced all of us involved in these projects, in the award scheme. So we launched the association. We did a business plan January to April in 2013 to try and identify how could we sustain an association going forward. So it was launched in September and we started recruiting organisational members from May 2013. So we're very new, we're very young as an association. I keep talking about us still as a new association. I'm not sure whether I can still say new, but we still feel we have a lot to learn, and that's why it's very nice to talk to telecentres, because you've been doing this for a little bit longer than we have, and so I think we've got some interesting experiences to exchange. So this is the website of the association. You'll see the kinds of things that we do. This is an indication of the kinds of members that we have. As I say, for us it was important to establish organisational membership first. We wanted the strength of organisations to support what it was that we were doing. Then we introduced supporting sponsor membership, because we have a lot of contacts with suppliers, equipment providers, and we thought we'd like to give them an opportunity to also be involved in what we were doing and to help us to build some partnerships. And then we've also introduced network membership, and that's been active since March 2014. And this is where I think we're going to talk about our relationship between the Telecentre Europe as well. And we will introduce individual membership, but we're holding off on that for a year or two until we really have a kind of a strength. So far we have 31 organisational members, 2 supporting sponsorship members, and so far no network members, but as of today it will be 1. I think we can say, Peter, can't we? So and by next year we hope to launch then our individual membership. This is a breakdown of where our members are coming from in terms of countries. So you can see it's quite a good spread across Europe in terms of organisations that have that have got involved with us. And that's a list of who the full members are. So here in Croatia, you can see, for example, the University of Zagreb is a member. We also are working with, you can see the kind of mixture of organisations. We have universities. Very often this will be an audiovisual department in a university that's interested in being part of what we're doing. We have networks. For example, Kennisnet in the Netherlands is the main ICT supplier of services to Dutch schools. We have Nordicom in Sweden, which is a think tank looking at media literacy across the Nordic countries. So they're mixtures of think tanks, universities, school networks, and other kinds of organizations. ONEJ in France, for example, is one of the digital university networks. And that's essentially the kind of membership that we have. But I'd like to switch to a short video, which takes about 2 minutes. Ah, yeah. You can keep the audio down a bit. The audio is coming off. This is probably enough. Is this mouse connected?
No, not on the glass.
It's not. Yeah, we need to go outside.
Yeah, here you go.
Can you get me back to the...
Yeah, sure.
Desktop? It's just there.
This one is?
That's it, yeah. Keep the volume down so much talk. So just to introduce you, I think, a little bit to who the people are. Let's roll. Audio's fine, I think. You have a bit of background music? Yeah, you do. Just to give you an idea of who's involved and the kind of people who we're working with in the association. So we work with experts like Don Hader from Loyola University, who's an expert in copyright, who's been one of our speakers at our conference and busily working with the sound is a bit high.
How to adjust,
That's okay.
That's fine.
People in our project teams, for example, Ina and Yuri, who are both working with national initiatives, Ina in Belgium and Ina and Yuri in Estonia. Rennie Hobbs, an expert in media literacy, who has also been a speaker with us last year at our conference and who will be working with us next year on a series of reports that we are initiating. This is Gérard Cosanova from the Université de Lorraine in France, who's one of our board members and who's very involved in France in the competitions again for universities highlighting their use of media. Laura's from Active Watch in Romania, which is a media monitoring association. So her interest is in terms of making teachers more media literate, and they run courses in Romania, and that's why she's involved. Wim is from KU Leuven in Belgium, again running one of the big audiovisual centres and active in a lot of these kinds of initiatives about using video, particularly for higher education. Petra was one of our judges and is also one of our partners in our awards scheme each year, and she's from MFG in Germany, where again they're interested more in SMEs and in in-company use of media for learning purposes. Rachel was one of our prize winners last year. She's a teacher. She's working with a school in Germany. They had a great entry last year where they were doing a lot of very interesting things with music between primary school and secondary school pupils in each class or each country. And Clive and Sylvia, who are coming from an expert group around web lectures, capturing of lectures for university. So that's us. I wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of who we are. Whoops. We don't use your own laptop. It's terrible, isn't it? Yeah, you need to stop that. Let's see. Thank you. Get to the presentation. Yeah, it's lovely. So my last slide is really about opportunities for collaboration, because that's who we are. That's the kind of work that we're going to be doing. In terms of the services that we provide to our members, it's all about collaboration. It's all about finding opportunities to do things better together. We offer for members, for example, use of webinar services. That's one of the opportunities they get by becoming a member. We have an annual conference. But we're primarily interested in project work and in looking at ways in which we can put together project teams with a specific interest in particular areas. So I was looking in terms at our opportunities for collaboration, particularly with telecentres. I'm not going to, as we say in English, steal Philip's thunder, because he's going to talk specifically about iPro, which is a project that we're involved with at the moment, which is measuring the multimedia requirements and capacities of people working in the industry and reflecting them back to the educational provider. But I think it's an opportunity in terms of extending this kind of project in the future, whereby we are working with and have lots of contacts with media, with educational media providers, people who are training students for the future, who are people like the film school that Philip comes from in Ireland. We're also working in Utrecht with the school there. I think there are opportunities that we can explore with the telecentres in terms of providing learning for people, maybe who are working in SMEs or working alone, and helping to kind of bridge that gap, because very often that is a professionalisation issue that can be a problem. Obviously, the media literacy for teachers in service and pre-service, I think, is another area where I think we have got quite a lot of opportunity for collaboration. Quite a few of our members are running extensive schemes for teachers, pre-service and in-service in their country. And I think we can share some of this expertise about ourselves. So I think we can draw on sector-specific know-how for training provision. I think there's a lot of opportunities in terms of joint promotion and publication. The very fact that you, thank you very much, you give me an opportunity to come to a conference like this to talk about our association. I think these kinds of reciprocal arrangements, Mara, are very interesting for us to do together. We also discovered that we both operate in Belgium using exactly the same legal structure. In Dutch it's called an IVZW, but it's an ABSL in the French-speaking part of Belgium. So we know that we're facing the same kinds of organizational and financial constraints. So at a very basic and local level, we've already been talking with Peter and with Gabriel in terms of how do you do this and how do you do that. And of course, there are opportunities then for lobbying and for working together in Brussels on these kinds of things. That's my story. Jacques, I hope that was okay. Thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah, and questions for Sally? I do.
I always wait. Nobody else wants to ask. I have many questions. No, this is more of a technical question. I'm just wondering, could you tell us maybe what's the cutting edge thing that's happening in multimedia right now? I know what multimedia is all about.
In education, you mean? Yeah. Well,
in terms of the use of multimedia and so on, is any really exciting things happening in recent times?
Well, I suppose, I mean, the big phenomenon that we all know about at the moment are MOOCs. You all know what a MOOC is? Massive open online courses. And of course, MOOCs are very, I mean, if you look at the traditional MOOC model, which is coming from the Stanford type university in the US, that's very much video-based. It's about video lectures. People with my kind of interest would say it's actually quite old-fashioned. It's simply, you know, talking head, but it's a very good talking head usually. So I find that fascinating that in fact that is almost the best use of media in terms of phenomena. But you've loads of other interesting things going on around gaming, for example, interactive materials. I mean, I would point you to, for example, one of our winners in last year, which is essentially it's a web documentary. Type entry, which is a very interesting type of approach using media, where you have an online, highly interactive, multi-view, multi-directional engagement with the media. And in fact, that winner, I think, is an excellent example from a French university of web documentary. So I like that. I could talk forever. Sorry, I have to shut up. There was a second question. Somebody else.
Where can I find more information about the winner of the Media Award?
There.
Do you have videos or so on?
Yep,
okay.
You'll find
on the website.
Sure, on that top website, the Media Awards website. If you have a look at that, and I make the slides available to you so you get them. I presume you have them on a website. I'm sure Masha is doing something like that. So if you don't get it down now, you'll find every year we do about 10 interviews and showcases of our winners and finalists. So they're all up there. You can see an interview with the finalists and samples of material. I'm happy now. Thank you for the questions.